Well, hello everyone, Philosopher Stoner 666 here, coming at you once again. So I have a little bit of a cold, flu coming on, developing, so my voice isn't really top notch right now. I will try my best to make an okay video, but this is probably going to be another shitty video. So yeah, I'm also on BitChute, link in the description. I haven't really figured out how to post videos on BitChute yet. The interface is a little bit clunky, a little bit fucky. It's not as intuitive as YouTube, although I will eventually figure it out. I'll spend some time today and do that. So yeah, I'm on BitChute. So I wanted to make a video about the subject of anti-natalism and dating. Now, I find the two things, anti-natalism and dating, to be a little bit of an oxymoron, and I'll explain why. So, romance and sex and relationships and stuff, the ultimate end result of it is making babies, whether intentionally or unintentionally. I feel as if there is more intellectual, intellectual honesty in sort of rejecting the whole normal paradigm. So I would cite religious traditions such as early Christianity and Buddhism that sort of tell their followers, if you take it seriously and go all the way, like I'm aware in Christianity there's that quote out of Genesis, to be fruitful and multiply, but there's other parts of, say, the Bible, like the book of Job, Ecclesiastics and stuff, that are quite pessimistic in their character. So that if you take these religious traditions seriously, the whole point is you should be able to find God by pursuing a spiritual path, by going celibate and rejecting the normal material world and the normal paradigm. Now, these religious traditions like early Christianity and Buddhism sort of realized, at least in their eras when they had no birth control and no other technology to control having babies, that it would be as futile as saying to people, well, hey, you shouldn't have sex. They realized that only a very small percentage, a small minority, would be able to, like I said, do that, go celibate, reject the material world, pursue a spiritual path, that it wasn't for everybody. So basically what they promoted was salvation for the few and not the many. So I do find it, like I said, I do find it that it's carrying on sort of a religious tradition. That's sort of where anti-natalism got started, like I said, and in the ascetic, priestly caste sort of motif of rejecting this world and pursuing a spiritual path and consequently going celibate and sort of rejecting worldliness. That's where anti-natalism got started. Anti-natalism didn't just come out of a vacuum. It comes out of these religious traditions. So like I said, I find the whole anti-natalism and dating thing to be sort of contradictory. Sort of, it doesn't make sense to me. That at some level we should be saying, well, if all of life is fundamentally broken, and even sex. And so the early Christians realized you could, like I said, it would be like persuading people to not have sex. They realized that ultimately the consequence of sex would be creating babies. And so they said to people, well, no sex outside of marriage, and sex only for the purposes of reproduction, because they recognize that all this romance and all this stuff doesn't go anywhere, and that there's probably a high chance of it going to bad places, right? Like drama, jealousy, betrayal, hurt feelings, lust. None of it is based on anything that's a good thing. And I feel as anti-natalists, we sort of have to reject in total the whole of life. It's sort of like what we're saying with anti-natalism and dating, is that, well, we think that life basically sucks and it's not worth having children, but we find select aspects of life they're worth living for, they're worth it, like sex and romance, and that in itself is okay to pursue, when really we should be rejecting that too in its entirety. That if possible, if you're able to do it, you should slowly start to reject sex and go celibate and try to do something else, try to spread the word a little bit more. But again, I'm biased in thinking that these sort of thoughts come out of this religious tradition, which they don't necessarily. The thoughts have been added to over time Like I said, culturally, we're in sort of a very weird place. So yeah, that's basically my video. That's basically it. But I don't know. I'm sort of, I guess I'm alone in my thoughts. But I don't feel that promoting any aspect of life is a good thing. So they're saying, well, it's all worth it if as long as you can have sex. Like I feel that's a sort of a dangerous path to be going down. You sort of have to say, well, the whole of life, all of life is basically fucked. And it doesn't go anywhere, and it's stupid, and it's unsatisfiable desire, and it doesn't accomplish anything ultimately unless you're prepared. It's just going to make a mess. But I would say, though, that probably if Buddha was, say, alive today, he would just be an anti-Natalist. Like he would have just said to people, well, you know what? Go have fun, wear a condom, use birth control methods, and don't add to the suffering. Like as long as you're not having kids, I can't object too strongly. I just sort of feel that the two, anti-natalism and dating, are sort of an oxymoron. They don't really go together. It doesn't really, like I said, it's unless you're planning on having kids, it doesn't go anywhere, and it probably just goes in directions that are destructive. Like I said, jealousy, betrayal, loss, lust. Not really a good thing. Not really a good story. That one partner is ultimately going to get bored with the other partner or frustrated. They're going to break up. It isn't going to be glued together. And what has traditionally glued relationships and marriages in the past together has been these dominant religious institutions that sort of said to people, well, hey, you want a divorce? You can't get a divorce. And I think back to my grandparents who were married for 40, almost 50 years. And what glued their relationship together was all the negative stuff. It was all the hard times. It was going through the Great Depression, going through World War II, being reliant and dependent on each other to sort of survive was basically it. And without that sort of glue, the hard times being the sort of the bond of the relationship, I don't feel that any of it really does go anywhere. Like I said, one of the partners is just going to get bored or frustrated or fed up or want to have some sexual newness or some sexual variety, and it isn't going anywhere. So we need a profound reevaluation of what we're doing, and we need to really think about it as anti-natalists. Is sex and relationships a redeeming feature of life? Because then if you're saying that, then it opens the door to the other arguments. Well, see, there you go. Life's worth living. That's what some anti-natalist optimist would say, right? And so I sort of feel, well, we have to be guarded against it. We have to tread carefully. I'm not going to be an authoritarian and say to people, no, you can't have sex. But ideally, if you can just go jerk off, that's even better. And if you can avoid jerking off too as well, that's even better. Like, you understand what I mean? Like it's again, I wouldn't, like I said, the early Christians and the early Buddhists and stuff realized that it would be futile to tell people to not have sex because it's going to happen. People are going to do it. But that's sort of the weird existential bind we're in, is that we're aware of our own mortality. We're aware of all the suffering, yet we have all these desires and urges and things that are really unsatisfiable. Like you're horny today, you satisfy the horny, then you're horny again tomorrow. It doesn't go anywhere in that sense. You're never satisfied. You're never content. The biological mechanism doesn't want you to be content. So it's sort of, like I said, we're in this sort of a bind where we realize all these negative things, but then we cling to some shred of positive just to escape the bleakness of these conclusions and where they lead and where they go to. So all I'm saying is that people need to be really careful and really think about it a bit more. And like I said, I'm sort of the opinion, don't bother, period. Like, have companionship, maybe have friends, whatever. And like I said, don't breed. I guess don't breed is the main point. I can't really stop people from doing whatever, but it's sort of the argument that I've already made now. I've made it twice in this video, is, just you should avoid it all, period. It's all not worth it. It all doesn't go anywhere. There's nothing redemptive in that sense. There is only the redemption that's possible in a spiritual sense. And I've talked about that in my other videos, that you can reconcile yourself to your mortality and sort of accept it and accept, yeah, this world here is a fail, and try to get over that and work on yourself and work on projects, work on spreading the message, devote yourself to that as opposed to these other things like having a relationship or whatever that don't really go anywhere. Anyways, that's just me. I've rambled now for 10 minutes. I'm starting to lose my voice. So that's enough of a video for today. Philosopher Stoner 666 out.